Hi everyone, welcome back to Learning Photography, the digital photography course. And now it's landscape photography. The topics that we're going to cover are the basic settings, and then a one-shot landscape shot, and then panoramic photography where there'll be multiple shots. Then we'll look at post-production. Then we'll look at lighting as a wrap. So let's begin. So what settings to have? The settings are broken up into three parts: ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. It's the same for nearly all photography, of course, but how you juggle these three in landscape photography depends if it's dawn or dusk, nighttime or daytime. So it's up to you on how you juggle them, but this is how I tend to do it. On your lens is at its optimum when it's at f8 or f11. Everything's sharp, corner to corner. That's great. So for daytime shooting, I'm looking at 8 or 11 as an f-stop. I'm looking for a really low in daytime ISO. So I'm going to bring my ISO down to 100 or maybe 200. So then it's just shutter speed. As a rule, daytime shutter speeds in spring would be 200 or 250. In summer it could go up to 320, maybe even 400. Depends how bright the sky is. Where's the sun in relation to the sky? Is it now really, really bright? You may go up to those areas. But as a rule of thumb, f8, 100, 200. Okay, so f8, 100, 200, you're really close in the daytime to being accurate. So I lock things down. I even lock down the white balance. I put it to daylight setting. It'll have a little picture of the sun in there somewhere. Put it to that. And then when you take all of your photos, they'll be all the same in their white balance, and that's an important thing too. That's the daytime settings. Now what about nighttime? Nighttime's a different ball game, because nighttime, being dark, you may have stars. And if there's stars in the sky and you want stars in the sky, the stars move really quickly, surprisingly quickly as they go across the night sky. And same with the moon. As the moon comes up, let's say you want the moon to come up with the shimmer of the moon over the water, the reflection of the moon. It moves really quickly. So your camera is going to have a shutter speed that goes down to 30 seconds before it moves into bulb, where you can leave it open as long as you like. 30 seconds is a long time for the moon and the stars, and they'll move and it'll be noticeable. How noticeable? Please do it, to try it, to see for yourself. But what you'll find is it'll be a 1/16 of an inch or a millimetre. It's going to move, and you think, oh, they've moved. So in post-production, as you open up your image, you'll see little streaks, tiny, tiny little streaks, but it's enough to annoy you because you're thinking, the stars aren't round, they're a streak, they're now egg-shaped. All of them are egg-shaped. What's going on there? So instead of going 30 seconds, bring it back to about 10 seconds. Now I need you to experiment with this. This is your homework. You need to experiment with the nighttime star and moon movements. Put it on a tripod, do 10 seconds, 20 seconds and 30 seconds, and remember your shot. Even have a notepad and write down what you're doing, right? So then when you bring them up in post-production, you can see what you're doing. You go, oh, that's the 10-second one. You'll see it in the metadata anyway. We'll talk about that later in post. But you'll see it in the metadata. How many seconds was the shot? What aperture was the shot? And so how many seconds? Okay, the stars are stopped at 10 seconds. I can even squeeze out 15 seconds and the stars look like they're pretty well stopped. They're moving so slightly that it doesn't really count. Okay, they're moving, but not that much. I can live with this. So nighttime. So if we're going to shoot at 15 seconds to try and get some light in, we can't have the ISO at 100 anymore. We're moving that way. We're moving up into higher ISOs now. Go to as high as you can get away with. It depends on your camera, all right? Some are different to others on how light sensitive they are and how they handle the light sensitivity. Some are good, some are bad, right? So find out what you've got as a camera in light sensitivity. See what you can get away with. So if you shoot at ISO 4000, hopefully you can get away with that, right? Most cameras can. You're shooting at ISO 4000 and have a look how much noise is in the sky and amongst the stars. The little red flickers, or then come back to 3200. Hopefully you can do 4000 or 12,800. If there's no noise, well then hooray, you're a winner. Go as high as you can without the noise being annoying. If you can only just see it, we can tame it a bit in post-production. We'll talk about that later. So push the ISO as high as you can, and then we can play with our aperture. All right, so then your aperture, so if you've got ISO, let's say 4000 or 6800, and you're at 15 seconds, take the photo and see what the stars look like. Ah, they're still dark. I can't live on 11. I'm going to have to move at f8. Have a look. f5.6. Have a look. f4. Oh, I don't want to go any lower than f4, but I'll have a look. And so then you be the judge of that. It depends on the moon. Sometimes it's a bright night sky, and sometimes it's a really dark night sky because there's no moon to be seen. You have to be the judge of that. Use your ISO here to get some noise going. Go to about 15 seconds. It'll give it plenty of time. In the foreground of your shot, then you're going to have all these different things there that you can paint with your flash. If you've got f5.6, be aware of the flash settings. You don't want your flash too powerful because you'll just burn everything. Also think about putting a gel. So you can get different coloured gels. Put a warm gel on, an orange, let's say, and then it'll be nice and warm. It won't look like the blue, cold flash has gone off if you're in a daylight setting. So think of that as well. But it's nice to be able to paint the trees, the shrubs, things that are around you in the foreground, and then that'll match the night sky's brightness because it's been left on so long, especially if there's no light at all shining here. You can also use a flashlight and move a flashlight. You can also use your car's headlights. This shot is of Palm Beach using car headlights. It's a funky looking shot. It's a beach just before the sun comes up. But I like the shot. It's a bit weird and funky, but I like it. What settings you use is up to you. What you need to do is play with this. Don't let the camera decide. You decide, because the more you shoot manually, the more you will learn. And in time, as your journey continues, you'll go, I know what I'm going to do here. And you'll immediately go to those settings. I know what I'm going to do here. And you'll just keep on saying that to yourself, and you'll play with it, and you'll become creative. Now we're going to move on to a one-shot landscape.